Yesterday I watched this film called Black Girl from 1972, directed by Ossie Davis. And it says, a mother with feelings of inadequacy takes in a troubled girl in order to give her a better life, but instead exposes the teen to cruel mistreatment by the woman's two jealous daughters. So the mother had two daughters. Two of her eldest daughters were by one gentleman who wasn't there. The baby daughter, the baby girl, she was by another gentleman that also wasn't there. And in the beginning, it starts off with this girl rushing to a job. You can tell that she's relatively young, but she's rushing to work. And she's waiting tables, but a little bit of a hiccup happens, a little bit of altercation with one of the customers. But she really wants to dance. Now, they had a stage, like it was a small stage, but eventually she got to dance. The girl that was dancing, her dancing looked a bit risque, but what the young lady wanted to do was something more along lines of like figurative dancing. It looked like a little bit of mixture of ballet. It was really beautiful. And at first I was just like, I don't think that crowd would open up would accept that form of dancing. But it's like, you never know. I think sometimes we think because people come from certain backgrounds that this is all they know, that they don't have any other scope. Like, all they're able to do is what we assume that they're able to do. And I believe that right there in itself is just stereotypical, because not all art is created in pain. But to be an artist and to be able to have to deal with the amount, more so like endure the amount of cruelty and pain and poverty and everything else that comes along with that, especially at a young age, I believe that when you're able to do something so creative and express it in such a manner that it just comes from you. So now the other lady, she was away at college. She is not the woman's daughter, right? But I don't want to give it away, but it's a really good film. And okay, the main reason why I felt that I needed to really bring this up, because I felt like I can relate to what was happening in the film. And I watched a video. I wasn't going to even discuss this, but I had watched a video of a woman talking about black girl softness, and how on this platform, and how she discussed how you have to protect it, and you know, to be careful around those who are not protecting the black girl softness. And I get it, because at first it became like a trend, when in all actuality it isn't a trend. It's a level of femininity. And what sucks is that everybody's so quick to stereotypically decide that black women should only be in one role, and that role is to fight everyone's freedom, to fight everyone's fight, to be there to protect and to serve. And it makes me think back to even when the movie Sinners, how her being a darker hue, how she had to be the one to come in and say, no, you're not going to talk to this person like that, but this one got to be soft, and she was the mulatto. And it sucks, because it's like, how can you decide what someone levels of femininity is based on the fact of what the color of their skin is? And I was at the library, and I was noticing how certain individuals came in, and the mannerisms that they had attached to them. And it makes me think back to the fact that because of your skin, that you have to not so much as perform, but you know that you're already going to be judged based on it, off of that, from off the back. So therefore, you know that you want to uphold yourself in a respectful manner, but not everyone's raised that way. And even if you're not raised that way, not a lot of people actually have that within them to want to have that level of respect for themselves in the way that they carry themselves. So, to get back to the film though, and the mother, I didn't know the mother was a HOE. Like, I didn't know that that's what she had did before she landed herself a job. And that was another thing that was tied to it. Education was very valuable to her, and she really held that in the highest honor. So the fact that the fact that she had landed herself a job at the school was just great. But then when her ex came to visit, the children, the girls, even though they're grown women, they got kids and everything like that, and I don't believe that they finished school themselves, but the way they were acting, like, I was watching, I was like, this is depicted in such a manner, but I'm like, this is truth though, because I've seen this before. And then she's like, well, just give me the money then. I just want the money. And they were all acting that way. They were all glamorized over the assets, glamorized over the trinkets, glamorized over what they saw, and not even caring about the fact that they hadn't seen a father in so long. But it's like he knew that if he came back with all this stuff, if he came back with all this stuff, that none of these other things would have mattered. The time that was wasted, the time that he has not been there, the absentee, none of it would matter, because he's coming with trinkets. He's Santa Claus at that moment. And the mother is there with her mother, so she lives there with her. She has a male friend. He's there, but he's not there, but he does pay a portion of the mortgage or the rent. And they already have a motherly wound, whereas she had to walk away from her and leave her with her aunt. So now the grandmother and the mother already have a wound, but the grandmother found religion, and therefore she's a changed woman, and the daughter, which is the mom, is still walking on with that hurt. And the two eldest daughters, they don't live in the home anymore. They live with their men and their children. But as I stated, they didn't finish school. So the young lady, whose mother was known as the neighborhood crazy woman, she took her in. So she had been paying and helping for this girl to continue to go to school, to finish college. So she was helping her with paying for her undergraduate degree. So, but her youngest daughter, they knew each other. They were friends. And so when she helped, so this woman is already taking care of her portion of the half of the mortgage or the rent. And then on top of that, she still had her youngest daughter there that she was taking care of. And I don't think she had to do anything for the two eldest daughters because they didn't live there. But they were there all the time, which I'm assuming they didn't work because in the film. But anywho's, to the point that I'm making is that the young girl, she had quit school to dance. And it wasn't raunchy, and it was figurative, creative, beautiful dancing. And even though that place that she was dancing in was known for what they were known for, they were very excited and welcoming of something so creative and soft and so beautiful. And sometimes I feel that because you come from a certain background or a certain beginning, your beginnings is very humble. Those who are ready to never ever have to experience that type of lifestyle or experience that or endure that type of finery in the fire, they have a tendency of assuming that everyone is just like that, and that softness cannot be created in the hood. Softness cannot be created, or not even created, softness cannot be born in a place of poverty. I don't, and I'm not disagreeing with the young lady has said in her video, but coming from places like that, and then also being able, I told you guys before, I've had kind of the best of both worlds because I was able to live in both sides of that line. So coming from that, and then knowing what you know and meeting the ladies that you meet, not everybody who comes out of poverty isn't soft. So when I watched this movie, and I'm like, this young girl didn't want the money. They was all like, well, give me the money, and I just take the money from him and give it to me. And she's like, you don't have to give me anything. The girl actually really just valued her space and her privacy. That was very important to her because all she wanted to do was practice her dancing. Well, long story short, the young lady came back from college, and she was coming to visit, and the two daughters was just horrible to her. And the film was really good, and the way it's depicted it's brutally honest, because they had decided long ago that this is what they were, and this is as far as they were going to go. And I don't want to say this, but it's not anyone's fault as in when you decide to stop, right? I feel like you don't ever have to stop. Like, these ladies stopped attending school. They decided to just be mothers, and there's nothing wrong with that. But in the same sense, as long as you got breath in your body, why would you not keep going? Like, why would you decide to just stop and give up? Like, you can get up every day and continue to learn something new. You don't have to stay subjected to only a title or an idea of what someone has on you or what they decided for you to be. So when I watched the film, the way that they was attacking the girl, and the fact that the girl was not trying to fight back or do anything like that, because she embodied her softness. She was respectful to herself, but at the same time letting them know that you're not going to touch me or do anything, inappropriate to me. But she didn't have to raise her voice. She didn't have to do anything to step out of her softness. And here it is, she's coming from a place where she's not raised in a certain type of environment or in a neighborhood. She's raised in the same neighborhood as these ladies. How much time do I have? So, being that she's raised in the same environment, and her predicament is way worse because her mother had lost her mind, unfortunately. And by her mother losing her mind, that right there puts a great deal of pressure on you too, because like I had stated in our previous video, it's the trajectory of being, like when I said before with David in the slingshot, of being pulled back in order to make you think that you're not going anywhere, because you feel like you're being pushed all the way back with that strong amount of pressure, that strong amount of wind. But like a jet fuel, it's this exhaust of pressure as you excel forward because of the trajectory of you being pulled back so far. And sitting in that, like, even when David was running, which I can definitely relate to, because not understanding why you're under such a great deal of attack and what's happening when someone who has such great amount of power as King Saul, why in the world would you ever feel intimidated by little old David? But I get it, because it's it's the trajectory of the extension of foot going so far back in order to be slung forward so quickly in such a large halt with such a great deal of pressure that you're already embodying, right? Because like they say, pressure makes diamonds. So you already a valuable jewel, and the pressure is helping to excel that forward. But anywho, so they got in the little girl's head, which they were not really that far apart in age, and try to get her to not to go back to school and don't change, and this is what you're supposed to be. You're supposed to be like us. No. It's the embodiment of softness. Like, the way that her uniqueness was an issue, her mother was so hurt, and she sat there and let the two daughters just get in her head and manipulate her. And then the grandmother came, and the gentleman, that the grandmother's boyfriend, he helped in that situation too, because it's like, what would have happened if the grandmother and the grandfather wasn't there, you know? Because they were literally on top of her, beating her, trying to hold her down. And I kept thinking, oh my gosh, crabs in a barrel, because I need you to stay just like me. Because if you, coming from the same exact bloodline, the same lineage, the same neighborhood, the same environment, the same horrible situation, horrible storyline, and you continue to move forward, then what does that say about me, who decided to stop midway, midstream, who decided, I think I'm going to make a home on this ladder. I'm not going to be about my Jacob ladder and keep moving forward until I get to where I need to get to, until I get to the sky, until I get to the top. No, I'm going to just stop here. So understanding on a whole nother vibe, on a whole nother level, what that girl was going through, because I'm like, this movie is speaking volumes to me. And I'm like, people need to see this. Like, sometimes the monsters that you're fighting isn't just your siblings and your parents. And on top of that, you still got to fight those who look at you and decide that they decide already that you don't need to have a spot at the table. Because there's only one token person of our ethnicity, of our line, of our situations, of whatever, that can sit at this table. Because we all decided that I shall be queen, or we all decided that I shall be king, so therefore, no, you can't go any further. And I'm going to do whatever I possibly can, even though I already have a place at the table, to make sure that you can't get to where I need you to be at. Where you need to be at, excuse me. So you're already fighting the people in your neighborhood. You're already fighting the people that are nothing like you, who are already at that level, who've been born into that level. Then on top of that, you got to fight your parents and your siblings, because everyone has came together collectively to decided that you don't belong, that you don't get to have access to your own birthright, that God didn't make you so differently because of the fact that you're a black girl with softness, black girl with uniqueness, black girl with a dream and hopes and desires that is more than just being somebody's baby mother. I was like, wow. So I do agree with the girl, like, you really do have to protect your softness, your uniqueness, because they will clown you. They will clown you the whole entire time, from birth to when you've already established yourself. You will always be different. You will always stand out, and they will always come for your black girl softness. But it's your birthright to continue to keep going further. It's not even black girl softness, it's just black girl femininity. And it sucks that we have to put a title on it based on the fact that you just happen to be a black girl who's embodying being a woman. When we don't have these conversations about other individuals outside our race, it's okay for them to be that. But because of the fact that when you turn the TV on, and also the way that a lot of us carry ourselves, it's not a great representation. So of course, oh, you sound like a white girl. I've been hearing that my whole life. Oh, you're trying to be like this, or you're trying to do that. You're just being yourself. And it's not your fault that you've embodied your femininity as a woman who just happens to be black. Well, the movie is called Black Girl. Came out in 1972. And it's on Amazon. And Ossie Davis is the director. His wife is featured in there too, Miss Ruby D. And it's a really good film. And It's not, it's like if you have Prime, you can watch it. I'm pretty sure like this probably doesn't cost that much to rent, even if you don't have Prime. But it's so good. And I love the depiction of how they were able to break down the struggle it is to be able to continue to go forth, and how the mother of the unique child, the woman who came through her pipeline, through her matrix, is soft and beautiful and amazing. And there's so many different things I didn't even mention because I don't want to give it all away, but it's really cool. It's really, really cool. And I think like this is the discussion that should be discussed about, but it should be a topic that should be talked about the way that you have strong creatives who are able to tell a story. And it doesn't even have to be someone that is not from your lineage. Like, it doesn't have to be someone that's not from your ethnicity, someone who's from your cultural background, but the way that this was portrayed. There's other little gems in there where they show you how the devil wears sheep's clothing, because well, I'm gonna say this a little bit, and I'm not gonna like really break any more out about it, but the fact that the father came back, and I'm like, is he? Yes, he is a PIMP. So, but the way that the love that they had with each other, and it's a softness about that. And I get it. Sometimes you have to be hard in order to survive, but when do we as Black women get to stop being in survival mode? When do we get to just enjoy being a woman? And why do we have to always find a way to attack those who are just doing that, enjoying the fact that they came down here in this vessel, and loving the fact that they're feminine, loving the fact that they're soft, loving the fact that they're not yelling and causing all types of mischief, but actually just embodying femininity? And it's just that it happens to be Black skin. Well, anyhow, it's just some food for thoughts, and I love you, and you got this. Bye.